Hello. This is Jeremy Lange. My name is D.L. Anderson. I'm a co-founder of Vittles Films. We're based just up the road in Durham, North Carolina. We appreciate the invitation to join you. As of 24 hours ago, we were asked to come and present about filmmaking and the thing that we love to do and we're very passionate about. I worked in journalism for a little over 10 years as a still photographer. I fought many deadlines and rushed many stories in and saw pages yellow and wither and wondered if there wasn't something more I could do. Then the still camera that I had became a high-definition camera. In 2007, Canon introduced a camera that could all of a sudden make this incredible video. So naturally, I started playing around with it. Tried to find a place for it at our little paper, which I worked with Jeremy, and there just really wasn't a place for it. There wasn't a space for it, and there surely wasn't time for it. Not for the stories that we wanted to tell. Ultimately, I started curating a little section called Vittles that looked at complex social issues through the lens of food. Food is very important to anyone in the South. Stories are very important to anyone in the South. And for anyone at all, anywhere, really. So through food, we found a way to tell these really funny, short, web-based videos. One was about a guy his mother's spinach casserole recipe helped desegregate Cincinnati in the 1960s. Another guy was serving, 5 years for B&E, but was really excited about making rainbow cakes at the prison cook school that was, almost closed, but I think maybe on the success of our film, kept open. So for a while, I worked with a group of ragtag collaborators, people trying to figure out how to tell the stories that they really wanted to tell, and the space for that was hard to find in a web-based model. We needed to take something more of a traditional route. And that's when I heard an idea that would become the catalyst for our first feature-length film called Farmer Veteran, and that's what we're here to talk to you about. And Jeremy is the co-director of this film. We'll give you a brief introduction before we watch a clip.
So in 2007, I moved back to North Carolina after living up north for a little while, and noticed how much the military and is part of the landscape around here. But I didn't feel like in the media or in general I was seeing what the results of the two wars that we were currently engaged in were. Like I felt disconnected from it even though I was in the news business. So through the approach of reaching out to families who had just lost a son or daughter overseas, I started photographing funerals. Publishing some of the photographs, but also giving photographs to the members of the family after the fact. And I worked with that and still photography for a few years, but was trying to find a sort of more in-depth way of telling these stories about what the real results of these wars were. And that's when I met Alex Sutton. So through discussions with DL and my friend Alix Blair is the co-director of the film with me, she had met Alex when she was working as an agricultural outreach worker with the Rural Advancement Foundation International, RAFI, which is based in Pittsburgh. Alex was in the Army for over a decade, served 3 tours in Iraq, and was discharged just a couple years ago with an 80% disability rating, mostly for post-traumatic stress disorder. Alex is one of the 30% of these veterans who are diagnosed with post-traumatic stress, and this is part of what leads to the staggering statistic of 22 veterans a day commit suicide. But those numbers are really hard to wrap your brain around, even for people who are used to numbers and stats. So we started working on a film hoping to sort of humanize those numbers and show what one man is going through on a day-to-day basis dealing with this and how that might apply to all the other veterans coming home from these wars. So this is the film. We're going to show you 3 minutes, kind of an overview trailer of the film that we're working on.
Let's see, a new beginning. Because it's not death and destruction.
We have to be understanding to those that are coming back that they have been changed. Hopefully, eventually it will get better, but it might not.
It just haunts me. I mean, what's it gonna be when me and Jesse have kids?
I mean, it's all up to Alex.
Hardest work I've ever done is working on the farm. The easiest work I've ever done was rolling in your arms, swing and turn, jubilee, live and learn, jubilee.
So how DL and Alix and everybody else who's working with us on this film really feel that the power of film, and this film in particular, is in its ability to take, you know, a single day within a single year of somebody's life and be able to show you that struggle in such a personal way. But with that, then you can take that and offer it up to a much broader audience than perhaps you could have before. And I'm going to send this back to DL to talk a little bit more about that.
It's a difference between, you know, the quantitative analysis of a problem. You know, the statistics that Jeremy shared are really troubling. And the qualitative, you know, nature of a story. I mean, each one of you who does social innovation work are probably sustained by a story, personal story, that compels you into the action that you're doing. By taking this approach to the film, which, as you see, it's a rather difficult film in that there are no easy solutions. He starts a farm with the hope that spending time with the animals, working, growing, you know, things in nature will help. And we see this idea kind of be put to the test. And you really want it to work because you see how bad he wants it to work. But you also see the impact of PTSD on a very personal level. And we believe strongly that this kind of film can still have meaningful advocacy work. Because it's exactly in that moment where you feel emotionally helpless. For Alex, where you're not sure where or how he can ever be better, that solutions present themselves. People are compelled to take action, and the responsibility has been transferred to them. You can't unwatch the experience. You can't step away from that then. It becomes much more real. So for us, making this a traditional sort of feature-length theatrical, we're trying to reach the broadest base possible. We're trying to speak to people outside of those small niche groups that have bared so much of this burden through these wars that are largely forgotten. And the time for the conversation is now. There's a number of organizations that are actively working to support veterans transitioning into farming. Down east here is Camp Lejeune. There's a farm incubator program where they're helping veterans use their GI Bill money and incubate a farm. There's a program called Agribility that modifies farm implements so that people with amputees can use the equipment. In Kentucky, there's a wonderful program called Homegrown by Heroes that takes this known quantity and puts a label on it and says, you're buying produce from a veteran, and that matters, and that's you contributing to it. So hopefully with this film, we can take these groups, these kind of disparate groups that have these small ideas, and we can help scale them up. And we can help them, through this film, point to regions and areas where people may be and say, you can find support here, you can seek the help that you need in this manner. And in this way, it's really meaningful work for Jeremy and I.
And that's part of it, is that Alex let us do this initially on a promise of, hey, we're going to make a 5-minute short. And then you spend 2 months with him and you realize this stuff is just not that easy. There are no easy solutions. You can't tell that story in 5 minutes. But it's our responsibility to do as much as we can with his story, or he would, that was part of the deal we made. We would try our darndest to get this out to the broadest audience as possible, so people like Alex get the help they need, and that Alex wants people, to see his story so they understand what everybody else is going through too. And that's our responsibility, and what these organizations that DL just mentioned, they take that responsibility also very seriously.
And the channels that we mentioned, traditional is certainly one avenue, but what's exciting is we live in a great age for documentary film. All of you have probably seen more documentary films in the last 2 years than you ever have before. Video-on-demand platforms, they have crowdsourced theatrical gatherings now, where you can lobby to have a local theater show the film that you want and make an event out of it. We plan to take these alternative approaches in addition to the theatrical. We want to work with coders and a hackathon approach and figure out, well, how can we take this information that organizations like the Farmer Veteran Coalition or Rural Advancement Foundation International are collecting? How can we take that information and really share it so that it can be of the best use? And how can we do that with this story serving as the conduit underneath it all? And at the end of the day, the motto of Vittles is sustenance through storytelling. We really believe that you can feed yourself through story, and that it supports the work that everyone in this room is doing. So I just urge you to remember that. And if you have any interest in working with us to help make this film maximize the impact in the world, we'll be here. We'll be glad to talk to you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.